leads us to the biggest clusterfuck, shitstorm, Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong did, bitch, what the fuck finale, and I was living for it. Everybody, and welcome back to my book club. If you're new, hi, welcome. We love it. If you're not new, welcome back. So I am not going to be pre-gaming before this video. I am going to be drinking throughout this thing because there's some shit that we need to get to. This book had just as many plot conveniences as The Last Jedi. That in itself is a feat. So in my last video, not gonna lie, I got a little buzzed. No promises, but I think I want to make this a regular thing on this channel. So just in case I do, be sure to follow me on my Bookstagram over here. Mikaya's Bookstagram, click that, follow that shit, link in description. Because this is where I will likely be giving you a chance to vote on what is going to be drunkenly reviewed next, okay? Okay. So the other day, I put a poll on my Instagram asking you which book you wanted me to talk about, and you all voted for this. Not gonna lie, it was a wild ride. I can totally see why you wanted me to cover it. I don't know if I've recovered yet, but here we are. So today's book that we're going to be talking about is The Wrong Family by Tarryn Fisher. Yes, the Tarryn Fisher of The Wives, this person who wrote this book. So, what the actual fuck is this book about? We followed two women, one named Juno and the other one named Winnie, short for Winifred. Yes, just like Bertha in the last book, we are absolutely going to be talking about this name later. So Juno is this 60-year-old retired therapist, and my pen fell. She lives in this house with a couple, Winifred and her husband Nigel. So one night, blah blah blah, Winnie and Nigel fight, and in the midst of their fight, Winnie admits to a crime. So Juno believes that this crime concerns their young son named Sam, and shit goes from there. So overall, what did I think of this book? I give it 3 stars. I didn't like it as much as The Wives. If you are new here, controversial opinion, I enjoyed The Wives by Tarryn Fisher. This is really just one of those thrillers that you read when you're in a reading slump. You know, it's fast and quick and it's nuts. Sort of like a hooker on crack. Something I have never done. Excuse me. When it comes to thrillers like this, I feel like The Godfather asking for Luca Brasi. Nothing fancy, just get the job done. You know what I mean? You know what? We might as well just get started, okay? So I'm gonna cheers you, clink. I fucking hate that shit. 2 stupid women, a drunken idiot, and a sleazy husband walk into a house. Oh wait, that's just the plot of this book. Sorry. I'm gonna need another one because I'm gonna start talking about this book now. And yes, we're gonna be getting into spoilers. So if you have not read this book yet, go away. Or stay if you want this thing spoiled for you. Or pause it, read the book, and then come back when you're done. Either way, cheers to you. We're gonna need this to get through this. Alright, let's do this. So, in typical Tarryn Fisher formula, dysfunctional bitch 1 meets dysfunctional bitch 2, and we spend the rest of the novel wondering which crazy white bitch is gonna out-crazy the other one. And then we basically just spend the rest of the book wondering when child services is gonna be called. Okay, so so we need to talk about these crazy bitches, okay? So the first one I'm gonna talk about is Juno. It's the old one. The old woman who's living in their house. I can't believe that a woman in her late 60s was meant to be the point of tension in this story. I don't get it. I have receipts throughout this discussion. I have screenshots. I have proof. This is how Juno is described in this book, okay? Nudging a fallen throw pillow out of her way, Juno walked slowly to the bookshelves, flinching at the pain in her hips. She was limping today, and she felt every bit of 67. So when we learn that she was a successful therapist, and that Nigel and Winnie were having financial struggles, this whole time I was under the impression that she was just like renting one of the rooms in their house so they could, you know, use her rent to make ends meet. So imagine my surprise when it turned out that this bitch was living in the crawl space of their house the whole story, the entire time. If I wanted to creep my readers out, I would have a fucking serial killer living in the house. Being a fucking creep, watching the wife shower. Heck, watching the husband shower. It's 2021. Diversity. How the hell are we supposed to be threatened by a 67-year-old woman who can't even walk around without complaining that her bones are like made of glass or something? What kind of threat is this? So this whole story, we are wondering why Juno ended up homeless and why she did jail time. Like, this whole time, I was under the impression that she did some jail time and was a fugitive. She murdered her abusive husband. She was on the run from the law. Hashtag life of crime. Now a killer is living in your house, Winifred. But when we learn about why she was actually doing jail time, I was like, are you Kidding me? Really? So Juno apparently did jail time because she was horny. I don't know if anybody else got this, but between this and The Wives, I think Taryn Fisher's protagonists are desperate women searching for who she then proceeds to punish in the story for their longings. She's got these female protagonists who she gives sexual agency and autonomy to, but it always comes at an expense. Taryn Fisher, between this book and The Wives, has managed to create a version of feminism that's completely intertwined with slut-shaming. Isn't it fascinating? Juno went to jail for one of the clients that she was doing therapy to. Apparently, taking advantage of your client's emotional state, sleeping with them, wrecking their family, wrecking your own family in turn, gets you 4 years behind the bars in the slammer, Juno. All for a guy that made her, and I quote, here's another receipt. Here's why she slept with him, okay? He made her laugh and he made her come. Win-win. This dumb bitch. So in the name of fun, Juno, you genius, you casually destroyed your marriage and his marriage and got your license revoked and ended up in the slammer for 4 years. So I would like to propose a toast to Taryn Fisher for punishing the cheating bitch. Okay, so now we need to talk about crazy bitch number 2, Winifred. I need to rant about this name. What is up with these frumpy white names? They should not have any place in contemporary thrillers at all. It just doesn't fit. A book called The Wrong Family by Taryn Fisher, and the characters' names are Winifred and Nigel. Oh my gosh, in the other book we had Bertha over here, but now we have a Winifred and a Nigel. You know the first thing I thought of when I heard the names Winifred and Nigel? I thought of that painting. What's the name of that? I'm gonna look it up. American Gothic by Grant Wood. This one. Colonial people. This is what a Winifred and a Nigel would look like, okay? Not however they're described in this book. Now, you may be wondering, did Taryn Fisher at least make Winnie smart? Well, so Winnie and Nigel apparently met by going on a date. I think it was a blind date. I think they were set up somehow. I don't really fucking remember. During the date, she compliments him for asking intelligent questions, and this is basically that. Here. And he asked her intelligent questions. Questions that were so intense, Winnie felt both sad and relieved to be talking about it at the same time. How did your father's death affect the way you viewed your... Apparently, this is what passes for an intelligent question. If any of you are about to engage on a first date, 1, wear a fucking mask. 2, can you try asking this question and tell me how that goes? Now, you think that this would be enough to have her not want to stick around, but no! Within 6 months, they're engaged, and within a month, they're married and living together. So apparently, being fucking nuts runs in Winnie's family. Yes, I'm talking about Dakota. Dakota is her brother, who is crazy. And yes, this is absolutely one of those books that uses mental illness as a plot convenience to get rid of other plot conveniences, which I will get to soon. Dakota hates Nigel because he apparently drove a wedge between him and Winnie. So I was cringing so hard in the scene when she was making Sam eat the veggie burger. Winnie raises her kid to be a vegetarian, vegan, whatever. Listen, Winnie. Your son isn't vegan. Meeting a vegan kid is like meeting a vegan dog. You know the dog didn't make the decision. So Winnie realizes that parenting is difficult. She says she hadn't realized how hard this would be, parenting. People, for some reason, choose only to highlight the good parts. The cute chubby cheeks, the cute little socks, not the temper tantrums and lollipops bribery it took them to get their socks on. Another thing that had me completely baffled was the fact Winnie used to volunteer in homeless shelters to counsel people with PTSD. Who would let this woman near anyone with a mental illness? Giving people like this the ability to give mentally ill people advice is how shit like this happens, okay? So Winnie learns at some point that Nigel has a side hoe. He follows Nigel one day and discovers that he is indeed seeing another woman. She then claims to be a feminist, but in the same page uses the word whore like 50 times. And this was just while she was thanking the waiter for the glass of water he brought to her table. She recognized this as being off-brand with her feminism, but she didn't care. What was feminism to a woman who was being betrayed? This bitch had cozied up to a married father, and all she could do was grin like a Cheshire cat. She wanted to hook each of her fingers into the sides of Dulce's mouth. Dulce is the side hoe. And pull that grin wide enough to rip her face open. Honestly, go Winnie. And she has like a flashback and she's like, her mother would say she had the face of a whore who'd been out whoring. Very feminist. Calling women, other women, and yourself whores, like really sticking it to the patriarchy. So then she confronts Nigel on this date and he's like, you follow me now? And she's like, so you have lunch with whores now? So guess what? This stupid woman who I just described was allowed to be near some mentally ill people. What could go wrong? She was counseling this girl named Jocelyn, who was a drug addict, who ran away from home because she was by her stepdad and left in crazy Winifred's care. So one day, Jocelyn runs away and then she calls Winnie because she apparently gave birth. And then Winnie shows up and then she steals the baby so she can give it a better home. And while she's stealing the baby of this other woman without the other woman's consent and running away with the baby, what's on her mind, you might ask? This is what's on her mind. For the first time in her life, she was grateful that she didn't have huge breasts, which would have been suffocating this small creature. So, I just described two crazy bitches, right? Their stories intersect. When Juno is snooping around the house and she finds police reports, she suspects that Sam was the baby that Winifred stole from Jocelyn. Now, the whole thing is super convoluted. It's revealed that Winnie accidentally killed Jocelyn's baby and they had to dispose of the baby, which is why Nigel was so pissed at her, which is why they were fighting that night, and that Sam is their actual child. But because this bitch, Juno, is a snoop who told herself a story in her head, she decided to take justice into her own hands. This leads us to the biggest clusterfuck, shitstorm, Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong, did, bitch, what the fuck finale, and I was living for it. I was living for how wild this finale gets. Oh my goodness. So Juno contacts the mom of Jocelyn, like, ring ring, bitch, Winifred stole your grandson. Come to this address, send. I was just thinking, like, what was the plan? What did Juno think was gonna happen? Just want to stir the pot and watch this inevitably disastrous situation play out. So Terry, the mom of Jocelyn, shows up and demands to have a DNA test to prove that Sam is her grandson. And Winnie's like, bitch, get out. And then the biggest fucking bullshit happens. Nigel comes in and joins the party, except he's all bloody. He's all bloody because Dakota, the mentally ill brother, shows up with a knife in his hands and alcohol in his breath. So, recap, what are Winnie's biggest problems? 1, cheating husband. 2, woman who is the mom of the woman who died under your care, whose baby you stole, now trying to, probably could get you sent to jail. And conveniently of all days, this was when Dakota showed up, wielding a knife and a gun to exact his revenge on Nigel. And guess what? Dakota shoots them both. That was easy. Quote, what she also found more ludicrous was that none of the neighbors had called the cops. How was that possible? Where was Mr. Nevins? I wrote this down on my script and I'm too fucked up to memorize it, so I'm gonna read it to you. Acknowledging an illogical circumstance does not make the illogical circumstance suddenly logical. And Juno comes in, she hits Dakota on the head with a blunt object. She finally does something useful in this fucking book, Juno. So then she runs into the crawl space and it's very dark, but she's used to seeing in the dark, and Dakota runs after her. And suddenly she pulls out a taser and electrocutes him on the neck, and then he drops his gun, and then she shoots him dead. Two things can be true at the same time, okay? Is this book bad? Yes. But is this book good? Yes. Don't ask me how I made sense of that. Shut up. So all in all, I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. It was serviceable, as I said in the beginning. Good stuff. I'm tired. I'm gonna end this video over here. If you have any requests as to which book you think would be fun for me to cover, comment down below. Comment down below. Like and comment and subscribe, share this video with your friends and your family, and I will love you forever. But as always, I hope to see you in future videos. Take care. Later. I lose myself.